The two issues he resigned on are Northern Ireland, but also whether or not Britain will be purely a rule taker as opposed to a rule maker moving forward. But those were the two big red lines he outlined. And just to summarise things, Prime Minister Theresa May's cabinet unity has already cracked this morning after she tried to sell her plan for Brexit to cabinet members yesterday. Two members of her cabinet have resigned: Work and Pensions Secretary Esther McVey and, crucially, as mentioned, Brexit Minister Dominic Raab. Three other junior ministers outside of the cabinet have gone as well. Now, sterling has plunged and sits around 128, down 1.4% against the dollar. Stocks also reacting. The UK banks in particular, but also certain European exporters to the UK as well. The resignations are a blow because Theresa May's plan still needs to get through Parliament, likely in early December, where she faces very tricky maths. If she cannot keep the support of her closest allies, Raab in particular, how can she tackle Parliament? Now, how could it get worse for Theresa May? Well, two ways. Either enough further resignations follow quickly that she just decides she can't continue and she throws in the towel.
Throws in the towel meaning what? She says, I'm not going to be leader anymore?
Decides to just step down and say, I've done my best.
Yeah.
Her tone this morning suggests that is not likely, that she is defiant, or she faces a vote of confidence triggered by her own MPs outside of her cabinet. For that, they need 15% or 48 of the 316 MPs to have to call for a vote. And reports suggest they could be fairly close to that number. She'd then face a vote as soon as the following day, where half of the 316 MPs would have to vote to remove her.
If she's removed, what's the most likely scenario?
If she's removed, you know, the last 4 months, the pound's been between 127 and 132. We're at 128 this morning. You'd think if she's removed that the pound would drop below the most recent range, so it would drop quite a lot further.
I'm sorry, I just mean politically, which side has the upper hand?
Because it would increase the chance of a no deal more than it would increase the chance of a second vote. The reason being that the default, if nothing happens, if neither side makes the very clear argument for why their side is better, the default is on March the 29th is that Britain crashes out of the EU with a no deal. When Article 50 is invoked, that sets the clock for when you leave.
So if there's a hard crash, what does that mean?
It means that there are all the current trading arrangements just end, and the reason that you're seeing the banks sell off the most is that they have the most complicated issues. I mean,
some of the banks have already moved some of their headquarters, or not headquarters, but have moved some of their operations.
They've moved some of their operations, but if you take the US banks for example, most of them have picked where they want to go. And have moved some back office functions and got the office space ready so that they can kick into action the no-deal plans that would see further ones move. But Barclays down 4% highlights, you know, for the UK banks that this would be a pretty big blow for them.
What were you saying about VW? I'm sorry, I cut you off on that.
Also, BMW is down a little bit today because clearly they have exports to the UK. But for them, it just means that there's going to be some kind of tariff imposed and that, you know, the price of a car will be higher. There'll also be some supply chain issues, but for the banks, it's really the crux of the issue. If she goes, the next step is a leadership election within the Conservative Party. And so then I think not only
who wins in that case? Is it the Eurocentrics or is it the
So if a leadership vote now would be, one would think, almost purely based on the topic of Brexit.
Right.
Clearly, if you go towards a hard Brexiteer, then the pound is going to react more aggressively because they will be articulating a tougher negotiation and to go for no deal. If the vote went towards someone that's articulating an argument for a second referendum, then I still think there's a lot of uncertainty, but you probably won't get as sharp a reaction. But I think the pound, either way, would react badly in the meantime because clearly there's just so much uncertainty.